And away we go, episode 1360 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. It is the 6-year anniversary of the infamous statement from FedEx regarding the name of the NFL team of Washington, D.C. Thursday evening, July 2nd, 2020, FedEx issued the following statement, quote, "We have communicated to the team in Washington our request that they change the team name," end quote. And nothing, and I mean nothing, has been the same for the team ever since. So much has changed with the team since that day 6 years ago, including the name of the team twice, but also changing for the team since that day 6 years ago is the team's ownership, as of course it was inner turmoil for the team's then ownership group that led to that statement being issued. That statement being issued by FedEx had nothing to do with FedEx actually believing that the name Redskins was wrong or offensive. No, that statement being issued by FedEx was about one of the Redskins' then limited partners, Fred Smith, being furious with the team's then lead owner, Dan Snyder. Fred Smith was the chairman, president, and chief executive officer of FedEx. He founded FedEx in 1971. He died in June 2025. Dan Snyder, in the spring of 2020, deferred paying annual dividends to Fred Smith and two other then limited partners for the team, Dwight Shaw and Robert Rothman. That was a big part of the ownership turmoil. Imagine that, a big part of the turmoil having to do with money. Fred Smith then pulled the ultimate gangsta move with his company, FedEx, which, of course, at the time held the naming rights to the team stadium, and the move worked. Fred Smith went scorched earth, and he was successful. He scorched the earth. Hello and welcome to this Thursday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Hope that you are staying cool as we are in the middle of this heat wave in the Washington, D.C. area. Next segment, a guest, an outstanding guest, Warren Sharp of SharpFootballAnalysis.com. One of my favorite people with whom to speak. He is going to give us exceptional, advanced statistical analysis of the Washington Commanders off his research on them for his book, The Sharp Football Analysis 2026 Football Preview. It is out, it is spectacular, and Warren is joining us for not one, but two conversations. We on this installment of the podcast are focusing on Washington's offense, specifically quarterback Jayden Daniels, the offense under new offensive coordinator David Blough, and Daniels' supporting cast on offense. Prepare to get a lot smarter about our football team. The incomparable Warren Sharp next segment. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats concluded a 4-2 American League East road trip with a 10-2 win at the Boston Red Sox on Wednesday afternoon to win the series 2-1. This off the Nats this past weekend, winning 2 out of 3 games at the O's. Analysis of that game, and also fallout from the incident between the Nats and Red Sox on Tuesday night. The O's, they concluded a 2-4 homestand with a 6-1 win over the Chicago White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday afternoon to avoid a 3-game sweep. Before we get to feedback, so Wednesday was day one of free agency in the NHL's 2026 offseason. Free agency in this NHL offseason began on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and the Washington Capitals continue to make moves, multiple notable moves on Wednesday. The Caps on Wednesday afternoon and early evening announced the signings of 5 unrestricted free agents. So list the signings in descending order of money committed. Forward Boone Jenner, a 4-year, $23 million contract. Defenseman Vincent Desharnais, a 4-year, $16.8 million contract. Defenseman Justin Holl, a 1-year, $900,000 contract. Forward Johnny Brodzinski, a 1-year, $850,000 contract. And forward Josh Dunn, a 1-year, $850,000 contract. The Caps this offseason are loading up like never before. Remember what happened last week. The Caps acquired forward Alex Tuck from the Buffalo Sabres in a sign and trade, and acquired forward Jordan Kyrou from the St. Louis Blues via trade. The two signings from Wednesday that most stand out are those of Boone Jenner and Vincent Desharnais. Jenner was the Columbus Blue Jackets captain for the last 5 seasons. Desharnais is a big physical defenseman who can help when it comes to clearing the crease. That was an issue for the Caps. Desharnais is listed as being 6'7" and 225 pounds. That, my friends, is a big physical defenseman. Caps Senior Vice President and General Manager Chris Patrick will do a press conference on Thursday afternoon at 12:30. A lot to discuss, including, yes, the grade 8 winger Alex Ovechkin. And I come back to this. How does he not come back? I mean, how does he not come back for a 22nd NHL season, what would be his age 41 season? He now is technically an unrestricted free agent. Do you remember the famous line from Ovi? Maybe his most famous line came to us on day one of 2017 Capitals training camp. Quote, "We not going to be sucked this year," end quote. Well, he said that, and what happened? The Caps won the Stanley Cup that season.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Yeah, we're not going to be sucked this year. I feel confident saying that about the Caps right now. They not going to be sucked this year. Meantime, the Washington Wizards, they on Wednesday afternoon announced having re-signed restricted free agent Jameer Watkins to a two-way contract and announced having requested waivers on Leaky Black. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. And in our quest for 2,000 ratings of the podcast, if you on Apple Podcasts give the podcast a 5-star rating on the podcast, we'll read whatever you write in writing a review of the podcast, but the review can include you saying something about sports. You don't just have to write about the podcast. From Nicholas Maddox on X on our recent conversations on the podcast about San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Ayuk and his quest to join the Washington Commanders, writes Nicholas, listening to Al Galdi read the Brandon Ayuk quotes has been very entertaining this summer. LOL. Never a dull moment on the podcast. Thank you for that, Nicholas. So true. Never a dull moment on this podcast. I am happy to entertain however possible. You know, we on the podcast have been playing the key audio from our friend Brandon Ayuk's social media posts, and I'll then highlight what I think are the key quotes from what he said, and I give you those quotes as they are said. Authenticity matters with quotes. From Alexander on X regarding our conversation on Tuesday's show, episode 1358, with Washington Commanders analyst Mark Bullock of Bullock's Film Room on Substack on offensive coordinator David Blough wanting to get receiver Terry McLaurin at least 10 targets per game this coming regular season, writes Alexander. The offense would have to operate at a fast pace, and the defense would have to be top 10 to get more possessions. Thank you for that, Alexander. A lot would have to go right for David Blough to get Terry McLaurin at least 10 targets per game this coming regular season. And as we discussed, it may just be that McLaurin is not a receiver who draws at least 10 targets per game. He in his NFL career has never been that guy. McLaurin in his NFL regular season career has 786 targets over 107 games. That works out to 7.35 targets per game. His most targets in an NFL regular season came in 2020, 134 targets over 15 games. That works out to 8.93 targets per game. But it is the spirit of this desire of David Blough that most matters. In other words, even if he doesn't get McLaurin at least 10 targets per game, if the idea is making a more concerted effort to get McLaurin targets, well, that's good. You want your best playmakers getting the most touches. And yes, the defense being better would help because that would mean the offense being on the field more. Consider the following for Washington in the 2025 regular season, in which our team's defense was rather bad. Washington had a total of 1,054 offensive snaps versus a total of 1,139 defensive snaps. 85 more defensive snaps than offensive snaps. Think about what could be done if the difference was reversed and the offense had 85 more snaps. What could be done with those 85 snaps in terms of targets for Terry McLaurin and touches for other players and points scored? Hey, please consider subscribing to this podcast if you're not already doing that. Subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you.
If your business runs on 5 different apps, 12 browser tabs, and one spreadsheet that everyone's afraid to touch, it's probably time for Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that connects every part of your business into one powerful, easy-to-use platform. So instead of wasting time switching between disconnected systems, your entire business works together in real time. Your team moves faster, your data stays accurate, and you can actually focus on growing your business. Let one unified system run your entire business. From the first opportunity to the final payment, everything works together in one place. Whether you're a small business or managing a large operation, Odoo gives you one flexible platform built to grow with you. Learn more at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Well, we on this podcast take pride in going in-depth on the Washington Commanders on every episode, no matter the time of year. We on this podcast take pride in talking Washington, D.C. area sports from an analytics perspective, and we combine these two missions right now with one of my favorite guests. He is an NFL analytics pioneer. He is a man whose work I reference often. He is the great Warren Sharp of SharpFootballAnalysis.com, and he, for a fourth consecutive summer, is joining us to preview the Washington Commanders' upcoming season. Warren, for years, has been doing groundbreaking work in NFL analytics. He is the author of an outstanding book, The Sharp Football Analysis 2026 Football Preview, 619 pages of in-depth analysis and commentary on all 32 NFL teams. I cannot recommend this book enough. Team previews, season predictions, fantasy football, Vegas odds, over 2,500 heat maps and data visualizations, coaching strategy and recommendations, tons of good stuff. I learned so much from the book, especially regarding the Washington Commanders, on whom Warren is about to give us high-level insight. You can get the book at SharpFootballAnalysis.com. Warren is joining us for the first of two conversations on Washington. In our next conversation, we'll discuss head coach Dan Quinn, the defense, and the team's 2026 regular season schedule. But we, in this conversation, are going in-depth on quarterback Jayden Daniels, the offense under new offensive coordinator David Blough, and Daniels' supporting cast on offense. You can follow Warren on X at Sharp Football. Hey, Warren, great to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm doing great. Every time I hear the dulcet tones, Al, I got to say, I know the football season is on its way, because we always get together to talk about the Washington Commanders when I'm done writing my football preview, and I'm officially done. The book is out there. It's on Amazon if you want to buy the hard copy. It's on my website if you want to buy the PDF. If you want to buy the PDF, 50% off, use code COMMANDERS. You can get that 50% off over at SharpFootballAnalysis.com. And yeah, I mean, it's just the season. It's a weird time of year because the World Cup is going hot and heavy. A lot of people are focused on other things besides the NFL right now, I feel. And so it's a little bit quieter NFL offseason than usual at this time in the calendar. But I have a feeling after, a couple of weeks here, it's going to be picking up hot and heavy, and everybody's going to be realizing that camps are about to start. And before long, we're going to be just nonstop NFL 24/7.
Wow. Well, a very generous offer from you to the listeners of this podcast. You've done that previously. You've done it again. For the PDF of the Sharp Football Analysis 2026 Football Preview, visit SharpFootballAnalysis.com and use the code COMMANDERS for 50% off. Very nice offer, Warren. We thank you so much for that. All right. The Washington Commanders, they in the 2025 regular season went 5-12 with a point differential of -95. A big reason for why what happened with the QB1, Jayden Daniels. All-time great 2024 rookie season, one of the best rookie seasons by an NFL quarterback ever, maybe the best, but an injury-ruined 2025 season in which he played in just 7 of Washington's 17 regular season games due to getting injured 4 times. How do you process his 2025 season? What's your outlook for him in the 2026 season?
Yeah, I'm basically giving last year I'm not even factoring it into my analysis of Jayden Daniels. And there's a few reasons as to why I'm doing that, but this really doesn't happen very frequently, Al, where you're just like, okay, I'm not even going to think about that season. when we go back 3 years from now, it's going to get factored in when we talk about, Jayden Daniels in his first 5 years. Like, that season is going to get built in, and we're not going to have the ability that we do right now and the benefit to just say, I'm not going to focus much on the statistics from 2025. But here's the thing. Obviously, we know he bursts onto the scene as a rookie, takes this team to the NFC Championship. Everybody in DC is absolutely thrilled and thinking we've got our, future quarterback who can probably win multiple Super Bowls, at least hopefully one Super Bowl of the future. And then we see what happened last year. Statistically, his EPA drops massively. His yards per attempt goes from 7.4 to 6.7. His completion rate drops from 69% to 61%. I don't care about any of those statistics. Here's a number of reasons why. The first reason, Jayden Daniels, after week 1, literally was on the injury report every single game of the rest of the season. Even if he played in those games, you mentioned he played 7 of 17 games, he was on the injury report for every single game aside from the first game of the year when he was healthy. Ironically enough, he played with Terry McLaurin just 5 days during the 2026 and 2025 NFL season. 5 days. They played the week 1 game, and they had a Thursday night game in week 2. And then they never played another snap together. 5 total days together with he and his number 1 wide receiver. And we already knew the wide receiving core was a weak point for the Washington Commanders last season. The wide receiver core overall was the number 3 most injured unit. The running back core was the number 3 most injured unit. In addition, you look at the pass defenses that Jayden Daniels went up against. He played the number 7 toughest schedule of pass defenses, the number 2 toughest schedule of pass rushes. So, that's unlikely to happen every single year. The injuries are unlikely to happen every single year as they were. And with Jayden Daniels playing less than 100% when he was out there, I'm just not going to consider statistically what he did. Now, did he have a chance to develop more as a pro, film study, everything like that? Yes, he should be further along in year 3 than he was in year 2, although he's learning a new offense. But I'm just not going to be downgrading him whatsoever. I'm still very optimistic. The only thing that I can throw in there that I'm just more concerned with in 2026 than I was entering 2025 is the injury potential. We knew that coming out of school, he had an injury potential. He has a more of a slight frame, and he likes to run upright down the field a lot. And so that is going to be something now that massively costs him games in 2025. Can he avoid that moving forward? So that's the only thing I'm more worried about is his long-term availability for Washington. But statistically, I'm still as optimistic about him in 2026 as I was entering the 2025 season.
The big change at offensive coordinator. Washington this past January 6th parted with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, and the team just 4 days later, January 10th, announced having promoted assistant quarterbacks coach David Blough to offensive coordinator. The expectation is that Blough is going with a Ben Johnson-style offense that'll feature more under-center snaps, more pre-snap motion and shifting, and more play action. What do you make of the change for Washington's offensive system?
A lot of the things that they're looking to do have worked for other teams offensively. It worked in Seattle for Sam Darnold, won the Super Bowl. It's worked for a variety of teams. You look at some of the modifications that even Sean McVay made, massive overhauls to his LA Rams offense, where they were living nonstop pretty much in 11 personnel, operating from shotgun for years, went more under center with Matthew Stafford, used more heavy personnel, used a little bit more play action and those sorts of things. Their motion rate is obviously always been pretty high. But some of those other things they made adjustments to. I think it's worth a shot here to see if this is going to help. Obviously, this is what David Blough wants to pivot to. We don't yet know how Jayden Daniels is really going to perform there. 93% of his snaps were out of shotgun in 2 years working under Cliff Kingsbury. That was the league's highest rate for any quarterback. In 2 full seasons, he took 33 career dropbacks from under center. 33. Now we know he only played 7 games last year, but his rookie season factored in there as well. Washington used pre-snap motion at a below average 46% rate. That was 24th in the league. Play action on just 25% of snaps. That was 18th in the league. They ran no huddle on over 1,200 plays, which was 815 more plays specifically than any other team in the league. So this was a very different style of offense that Jayden Daniels was operating under his first 2 seasons that now is going to change in 2026. So it remains to be seen, considering how askew they were in some of those metrics, like the shotgun rate, etc., compared to league average. So this is going to be an adjustment for Jayden Daniels, but it's one that we can't say would hurt him. We also can't really say it will help him. We just know that this style of offense has had recent success in the NFL, and it makes sense that they would want to attempt to do something like this. Hopefully there would be a pivot point if it truly was a problem in the preseason or early on in the season. Maybe they reduce the amount of under center snaps if they needed to. But it's definitely something you could modify mid-season once because you could always go back to what Jayden Daniels really prospered under in 2024 if you needed to. That's a pretty quick pivot. So I'm excited to see how he looks in this style of offense, and I'm excited to see what the Commanders' offense is going to do with David Blough calling plays, because we really don't know yet how he even calls plays. We really don't know where he's going to have his strengths and weaknesses. We don't know if he's going to be great at game planning or at in-game adjustments, at game scripting. Like, there's a variety of things, as you know, that an offensive coordinator could be a good offensive mind, but he struggles with his strategy to attack the opponent, or he struggles with his in-game adjustments. So a lot of this is yet to be determined with the new OC.
We shall see if Washington in the coming weeks adds a receiver like the San Francisco 49ers' Brandon Ayuk or unrestricted free agent Stephon Diggs, but you are not high on the supporting cast for Jayden Daniels on offense. Your position group rankings for Washington on offense among the NFL's 32 teams are as follows. Quarterbacks, number 14. Receivers and tight ends, number 31. Running backs, number 32. Offensive line, number 22. How concerning is what Washington has around Daniels on offense?
I'm very concerned. I know that in DC, there's an optimism that Antonio Williams can be that slot guy, that highly productive guy out of the slot, and I hope that's the case. But it's really hard when you're looking at the landscape of the 32 teams to just say, oh, yeah, they drafted this guy, so all of a sudden he's going to be an impact player in his first season, and that's going to impact the ability for this team to move up the rankings. So, a year ago, we ranked the Washington Commanders receiving group, which includes tight ends, about league average. Now we rank him as one of the worst in the NFL, as you just alluded to. Treylon Burks is potentially starting games. I mean, he was a guy who hasn't had any success around the NFL. Antonio Williams is a big question mark. Terry McLaurin, career low 58 yards per game when he was playing. Now, granted, most of those games I just mentioned, he only played 5 days with Jayden Daniels. So the vast majority of the games McLaurin was playing was with a backup quarterback. It's hard to really knock what he did last year, and we know how valuable he is to this team and how closely aligned the success of Jayden Daniels is to what Terry McLaurin brings to the table. The tight end unit, I probably was the only person who bet Chiga Kwankwo's receiving yards over last year with the Tennessee Titans. He did end up hitting that number. So I was correct in being a little bit pro Chig Okonkwo in 2025. I think he's a fine tight end, but he's definitely not a difference maker. And whether or not he can be the type of guy, like in Tennessee, he was not the type of guy that they relied on like a Zach Ertz to move the chains and be that third down possession type receiver. I don't know where he's going to slot in this year and how he's going to be utilized, if he's going to do and deliver the same type of upside that in DC that he was able to deliver last year. But down the field, he does offer some matchup advantages, but it's still a unit that is severely lacking. And then when you look at the running back room, look, I was a Bill fan, Krosky Merritt, like we were buying, the Bill shirts and all the stuff that was going wild with Krosky Merritt when he first burst onto the scene last season. Over the back half of the year, he was losing some work to Chris Rodriguez, and he had fumbling issues, fumbled 4 times. He caught only 9 passes all season. His ball protection, his pass protection issues were a problem last season. That's why he wasn't in on third downs all that much. And I've been down on Rachaad White for a couple of years now. Rachaad White, we were very high on Bucky Irving. We bet a long shot on Bucky Irving to lead the league in rushing yards as a rookie, which we won. That was like a 25-1 ticket. We didn't want Rachaad White interfering with that. And last year, we didn't want, I was high on Bucky Irving. He got injured. But look at these statistics about Rachaad White. Since entering the NFL, out of 63 running backs with at least 250 attempts, he ranks 54th in yards per rush, 54th in success rate, 52nd in yards after contact per rush. And that includes the fact that he was a little bit better earlier on in his career. His efficiency as a rusher has declined. It's cost him rushing volume the past 2 seasons. So yeah, third down role, a receiver out of the backfield. He was really good in that role, but he's not a guy. If you pair him with Krosky Merritt, this is not a running back core that I'm really confident is going to take the pressure off of Jayden Daniels, that's going to keep the offense on schedule when you do look to run the football. And those are concerns that then you're going to fall behind schedule. And with the new OC, I don't know if he's going to want to lean on the pass, be top 5 in pass rate, or if he wants to lean a little bit more on the run, playing more under center. I don't know what his ideal run rate is going to be. But if they're leaning a little bit more on the run game than, a Cliff Kingsbury up-tempo offense might, it's going to be a problem, in my opinion, staying ahead of the chains and keeping Jayden Daniels out of those situations. That Jayden Daniels is an absolute gamer. He is not the type of guy who is going to back down. When he was in the game against the Seattle Seahawks, for example, when he got injured last season, they had no chance to win. He was not 100%, and yet he's still running and trying to make plays because that's just the way he is. The head coach needs to protect the quarterback from himself. And my fear is if you are too far behind the sticks with a quarterback like Jayden Daniels, who has an injury history and is a little bit slight of frame, and he's trying to create things out of pocket to convert on third downs, it's going to result in the higher likelihood that he gets injured. And so it's very important for a team like the Commanders to be ahead of schedule, ahead of the chains, avoiding third downs as much as possible. And I'm not sure that this running back unit does that for you.
Warren Sharp of sharpfootballanalysis.com for the PDF of his book, The Sharp Football Analysis 2026 Football Preview. Visit sharpfootballanalysis.com and use the code COMMANDERS for 50% off. Take advantage of that special offer for listeners of this podcast. Warren, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, Al. Always great to talk to you.
All right. Hey, whatever big event that you're planning, a wedding, a party, a corporate gathering, consider using a great sponsor of this podcast, Catering by Uptown. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Catering by Uptown is outstanding. It is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras, who are terrific Washington Commanders fans, and Catering by Uptown will provide you and your event with excellent service. Catering by Uptown staff on the day of your event is the first to arrive and last to leave, and is fully prepared to offer quality, variety, and abundance, prepared to execute the plan that you and Catering by Uptown created together. Catering by Uptown specialty is weddings. Get excellent service at an affordable price. In fact, if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can check out Catering by Uptown's premier wedding venues. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Washington Nationals now are 4-1 since their 4-game losing streak, a 10-2 win at the Boston Red Sox on Wednesday afternoon to win the series 2-1 and to conclude a 4-2 American League East road trip as the Nats this past weekend won 2 out of 3 games at the Baltimore Orioles. The Nats in MLB's 2026 regular season now are 45-43 with a run differential of +17. The Red Sox in this regular season now are just 37-48 with a run differential of -7. The Nats won the final 2 games of this series by a combined score of 18-3. Domination. More great offense on Wednesday afternoon. 10 runs, 13 hits, which were 3 home runs, a triple, 3 doubles, and 6 singles. 10 walks. Yes, I said 10 walks, 6 for 14 with runners in scoring position. The Nats got to Red Sox starting pitcher Peyton Tolley, who allowed 6 runs in 3 innings. Peyton Tolley came into this game with an ERA of 2.78 over 12 games, all starts in this regular season, and yet the Nats ripped Tolley. Yet another instance of this Nats offense getting to a starting pitcher having a good season. James Wood, he is the Nats starting left fielder and number 1 batter, went 2 for 4 with a 3-run homer, a single, and 2 walks. So Wood in the Nats 3-run 7th had a 2-out opposite field 3-run homer over the Green Monster in left center field for a 10-0 Nats lead. James Wood for this regular season now has 22 home runs and an OPS of .911. He, over the 3 games in this series, went 6 for 13 with 2 home runs, a double, 3 singles, and 2 walks. James Wood had cooled off. He has heated back up. He had a big-time series in Boston. Also homering for the Nats in this game were 2 unlikely home run hitters in Andres Chaparro and Nasim Nunez. Andres Chaparro, he is the Nats starting first baseman and number 3 batter, went 1 for 2 with a 2-run homer. Chaparro in the Nats 2-run first had a 1-out 2-run homer over the Green Monster in left field for a 2-0 Nats lead. That home run was just his 4th extra base hit over 58 plate appearances at the major league level in this regular season. And Nasim Nunez, he is the Nats starting shortstop and number 8 batter, went 1 for 4 with a solo homer and a walk. Did strike out 3 times, but Nunez in the Nats 5-run 4th had a leadoff first pitch home run over the Green Monster in left field for a 3-0 Nats lead. Nunez for this regular season now has an OPS of .606, including a slugging percentage of just .286. But, I mentioned Nunez being the Nats starting shortstop for this game. The Nats did what they did offensively in this game, despite their number 1 shortstop, C.J. Abrams, not playing in the game. Very nice game for Jacob Young. He is the Nats starting center fielder and number 6 batter, went 2 for 3 with an RBI double, another double, and 2 walks. Young in the Nats 5-run 4th had a 2-out RBI double to deep left field for a 7-0 Nats lead. Jacob Young for this regular season now has an OPS of .651, and Luis Garcia Jr. had another big hit. He came off the bench to pinch hit and play first base, and your reigning National League Player of the Week went 1 for 4 with a 2-run single. Garcia in the Nats 5-run 4th had a pinch, bases loaded, 2-run single off the Green Monster in left field on an 0-2 pitch for a 5-0 Nats lead. Luis Garcia Jr. for this regular season now has an OPS of .847. One of the biggest surprises in baseball continues to be how good this Nats offense is in this season number 1 of a restarted rebuild. The Nats, with their new analytics-based process, are doing mighty fine when it comes to the offense. It is stunning that this offense is this good, continues to be this good. I mean, there really hasn't been like any substantial drought with the offense so far in this regular season. Unbelievable. Here was Nats manager Blake Butera during his post-game session with reporters on Wednesday afternoon, and then you'll hear multiple follow-up exchanges.
Obviously facing a really good arm with Tolley, and thought our at-bats were unbelievable and thought we did a really good job out of the gates.
Was the focus coming in just like on his fastball? You guys really seem to do some damage on it tonight.
Yeah, we knew he liked to attack the zone, liked to get ahead. I think we were ready to go when he did.
What do you think that home run meant for Chaparro? You've obviously stuck with him a lot through this, and to see that kind of result, what do you think that meant for him?
Look, I mean, he's given us good at-bats against left-hand pitchers. That's why he's here. He's hit some balls hard, too, right at people a lot of times. But the work he's put in, he's been ready to go when his name's called. Really happy for him and happy for us with that home run.
What was the thought process with having him in the game today and where you did in the batting order?
Yeah, just liked the matchup. Like I said, he's here to hit lefties. We have a left-hand heavy lineup most nights. So when we're facing a lot of lefties like we did this series, we're counting on him and happy that he came through for us today.
I know you talked about liking the approach last month, but it was a much more aggressive approach. The fact that you guys were so patient today, what does that tell you about maybe the page that this club is turning, or is this just kind of a fitting the situation sort of day?
Yeah, I think the ability this club has offensively to kind of have whatever tool they need in their tool belt. And I think today, being able to draw some walks, seeing a lot of pitches early on, allowed us to get into their pen pretty early. It also allowed us to get in some advantage counts, and we took advantage of that when we were.
All right. When it came to the Nats pitching in this 10-2 win at the Red Sox on Wednesday afternoon, so the Nats used an opener who was relief pitcher Brad Lord, first time that Lord has been used as an opener in this regular season. He did well. He tossed 2 1/3 scoreless innings, and then starting pitcher Andrew Alvarez came into the game as the Nats bulk pitcher, and he did well. He tossed 4 2/3 scoreless innings with 6 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He gave up just 2 hits, which were a double and a single. He issued a hit by pitch. He threw 74 pitches, 46 strikes, 28 balls. Alvarez came into the game in the bottom of the third with runners at the corners, 1 out, and the Nats up 2-0. And he, via the first pitch that he threw, generated a 3-6-3 double play that by Blake Butera was successfully challenged into being a double play. So more good work by Andrew Alvarez. He hit the major league level in this regular season, 11 games, including 5 starts, ERA of 3.05, whip of 1.38, and how about this? Strikeouts per 9 innings of 10.45. His strikeouts per 9 innings is higher than the strikeouts per 9 innings of starting pitcher Cade Cavalli, who we know is a big-time strikeout pitcher. His strikeouts per 9 innings for this regular season is at 10.16. Again, Alvarez's is at 10.45. And the Nats relief pitching in this 10-2 win at the Red Sox on Wednesday afternoon did have some problems. 2 Nats relievers combined to allow 2 runs in 2 innings. Riley Cornelio allowed 2 runs in 1 inning. He, in the bottom of the 8th, allowed 2 runs on 3 singles and a walk. Carson Palmquist tossed the scoreless bottom of the 9th, despite giving up a leadoff single and giving up a 1-out double. Also, the Nats on Wednesday night announced having transferred relief pitcher Mitchell Parker to the 60-day injured list, as he does appear to be done for the season due to needing UCL surgery. Meantime, more off that incident during the Nats 8-1 win at the Red Sox on Tuesday night. The Nats starting pitcher in that game, the aforementioned Cade Cavalli, was outstanding. 1 run, which was unearned in 7 innings with 13 strikeouts versus no walks. He gave up just 1 hit, which was a double by the first batter he faced. But Cavalli was involved in an incident with Red Sox first baseman Willson Contreras. Cavalli tossed a perfect bottom of the 4th, during which he got the second out via a cold strikeout of Contreras. Cavalli, after the called strike 3, was talking trash to Contreras, including saying, quote, "Sit down, boy," end quote. And the usage of the word boy has gotten a good bit of attention. Contreras then began talking to Cavalli. Then the 2 walked toward each other. Then Contreras ran toward Cavalli, and Contreras threw his batting helmet at Cavalli, although the helmet ended up being thrown at Nats first baseman Andres Chaparro. Cavalli and Contreras were separated. No punches were thrown, but benches and bullpens emptied. Ejected in all of this were Contreras, Red Sox outfielder Nate Eaton, and Nats starting pitcher Miles Michaelis. Now, the backstory to this: A, Contreras had nearly bumped into Cavalli as the players made their way off the field at the end of the first inning. B, Contreras, in the Nats' 6-3 loss at the Red Sox on Monday night in a 4-run first for Boston, had a 1-out 3-run homer over the Green Monster in left field on a 1-2 pitch. And Contreras, in hitting that home run, launched his bat into the air and took his time getting to first base. But Cavalli saying, quote, "Sit down, boy," end quote, became a big deal, even though I do not think that Cavalli meant for that to be racist. He meant to insult Contreras in saying, quote, "Sit down, boy," end quote. Cavalli meant to diminish Contreras in saying, quote, "Sit down, boy," end quote. Cavalli was talking trash. I mean, this to me was no different than Cavalli, instead of calling Contreras boy, calling Contreras a word that also starts with the letter B, but rhymes with which. Okay, like, I think that's what Cavalli was going for in saying, "Sit down, boy." I do not think that there was any racial intent. But Cavalli and Nats president of baseball operations, Paul Taboni, on Wednesday spoke to reporters at length. Taboni, quote, Cade is a great guy of great values, great morals, great leader. At the same time, his choice of words was not ideal. Candidly, I think he was unaware that it might have or induce a negative reaction from folks, but we talked a lot about that, and I think now he understands it, end quote. Cavalli, quote, obviously, there was no ill intention behind that. My teammates know me. My family knows me. This organization knows me. I couldn't sleep because of it. It hurt my heart knowing that if there's a 13-year-old black kid in D.C. that sees that looked up to me and thinks that he perceived it in a way that wasn't intended the way that it came out, and then he's not looking up to me anymore, that hurts my heart. It's really tough. I've learned a lot. The intention was perceived different than what my heart is and who I am as a person, my character, end quote. Well, good for Cade Cavalli for saying that. I don't know that he had to say all of that. He, to me, doesn't need to be beating himself up over this. Certainly doesn't need to be losing sleep over this. But, I respect him for saying what he said. What happened between him and Willson Contreras was two intense competitors going at it. And each guy did some things that he likely regrets, and that's okay. This is big-time pro sports. People get emotional. It's understandable. This doesn't need to be a bigger deal than that. No game for the Nats on Thursday. Next up for them is a 9-game homestand to conclude the pre-All-Star break portion of their season. The homestand begins with a 3-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates at Nationals Park. The Nats have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1 Friday evening at 6:45, Foster Griffin. Game 2 Saturday morning at 11:05 in the Nats' annual 11:05 a.m. July 4th home game, Zach Littell. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 1, Miles Michaelis. Well, a much-needed win for the Baltimore Orioles. They won for just the 9th time in 24 games. A 6-1 win over the Chicago White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday afternoon to avoid a 3-game sweep. The O's in MLB's 2026 regular season now are 40-48 with a run differential of -33. The White Sox in this regular season now are an American League Central best 45-40 with a run differential of +25. Welcome back, Dean Kramer. The O's on Wednesday morning announced having activated Kramer from the 60-day injured list. He had been on that since May 29th, and he was on the 15-day injured list from April 23rd, retroactive to April 20th to May 29th. All of this was due to a right quadriceps strain. By the way, the O's on Wednesday morning also announced having optioned starting pitcher Trey Gibson and relief pitcher Josh Walker to AAA Norfolk after Tuesday evening's 9-3 loss to the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. And the O's on Wednesday morning announced having recalled relief pitcher Cameron Weston from AAA Norfolk. But yeah, Dean Kramer, he in this 6-1 win over the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday afternoon. Very good. He allowed 1 run in 6 innings with 4 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He gave up 4 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 2 singles. He threw a lot of strikes, 79 pitches, 50 strikes, just 29 balls. So the run that he allowed came via the first batter of the game. A Kramer to the first batter he faced gave up a leadoff home run by Sam Antonacci to right field for a 1-0 White Sox lead. This month marks 8 years since the O's acquired Kramer from the Los Angeles Dodgers in the trade package for third baseman / shortstop Manny Machado in July 2018. This is Kramer's age 30 season. Kramer in the 2025 regular season appeared in 31 games, including 29 starts, registering an ERA of 4.19 and a whip of 1.21, and leading the O's in innings pitched at 171 2/3. So the O's on March 21st announced having optioned Kramer to minor league camp. He did not begin this regular season at the major league level. The O's on April 13th announced having recalled Kramer from AAA Norfolk. He for the O's pitched in just 2 games, both starts, and then got injured. During O's manager Craig Albernaz's post-game press conference on Wednesday afternoon, had this exchange between O's insider Rich Dubroff of BaltimoreBaseball.com and Albernaz, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between O's insider Jacob Calvin Meyer of the Baltimore Sun and Albernaz.
How impressive was Carter to you?
Yeah, really impressive. It's good to have Dean back. Did a great job of, after the first hitter giving up the solo shot, did a great job of just kind of settling into the game. He had great command of his fastball today. Split came along as the outing went. I love the use of the curveball, especially early in counts. He did a great job of the push-pull attack and just attacking the strike zone and keeping us in the game, because Schultz early on, like he's really good. 6'10" with a funky delivery, had that cutter going in on righties, so we needed Dean to kind of keep the game where it was, and he did.
Valuable can somebody like Dean Kramer be in a rotation when every 5 days you basically know what you're going to get from him? He's just pretty steady.
Yeah, like that for all 5 guys. And that's what all other guys have shown. But with Dean's pedigree, his track record, like he's battle tested, and to have that presence, knowing that he can navigate the game and control his emotions, slow heartbeat, and that's what we valued and what we missed.
All right, and this was some of Dean Kramer during his post-game session with reporters on Wednesday afternoon.
Feel good. Feel good enough to be here. And it's pretty hot today. But other than that, no, feel good. Stuff's okay. The 2 months off wasn't the best, but kept my arm in shape, kept my feel, and so getting back has been easier than if I had to shut down throwing. So a lot of positives there.
Yeah, nice to have Dean Kramer back. The Orioles relief pitching in this 6-1 win over the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday afternoon was great. 2 Orioles relievers combined for 3 perfect innings. Tyler Wells tossed 2 perfect innings with 2 strikeouts, and Andrew Kittredge tossed a perfect top of the 9th. However, a troubling development. Closer Ryan Helsley is dealing with right elbow discomfort. He was warming up in the bottom of the 8th, but he ended up not coming into the game. Not good. Helsley was on the 15-day injured list from May 1st, retroactive to April 29th to June 16th due to right elbow inflammation, and now the elbow is acting up again. Here was Craig Albernaz during his post-game press conference on Wednesday afternoon.
Bullpen phone rang with Duran Blazes at bat, I believe, with 1 out. He just called down and said felt some elbow discomfort, so he's getting looked at right now and evaluated, so we'll have more information in the next couple days, but we'll see.
Yes, we will see, but man, the O's seemingly cannot buy a break when it comes to injuries these last 3 seasons. So the O's just this past Monday evening announced having put a relief pitcher, Keegan Aiken, on the 15-day injured list retroactive to June 28th. That due to left elbow discomfort. We later, in the Craig Albernaz postgame press conference on Wednesday afternoon, had this exchange.
What's your level of concern with Helsley, and what's your level of concern there?
My level of concern, something like that, is always high. It's almost like you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Hopefully everything comes out and he's fine, but, you're always concerned when bullpen calls down and says that you can't go. But like you said, we'll kind of see where this leads and more information. Hopefully it was kind of just precautionary.
Yeah, you hope for the best. The Orioles offense in this 6-1 win over the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday afternoon was good. 6 runs, 7 hits, which were 2 home runs, a triple, and 4 singles, 7 walks, 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The O's did strike out 12 times, but the O's in scoring 6 runs scored more than 4 runs for the first time in 6 games. Blaze Alexander, he is the Orioles starting third baseman and number 9 batter, went 2 for 4 with an RBI triple and a single. Alexander and the Orioles' 1-run 6th had a 2-out opposite field RBI triple to deep right field for a 5-1 Orioles lead. Blaze Alexander for this regular season now has an OPS of 795. How about that Blaze Alexander trade? The O's this past February 5th announced having traded relief pitcher Cade Stroud, pitching prospect Wellington Arasena, and infield prospect Jose Mejia to the Arizona Diamondbacks for third baseman / second baseman / outfielder Blaze Alexander, and he is doing quite well for the O's. This so far is a trade by Orioles president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Elias that looks good. Now, as for a move that does not look good, Tyler O'Neill. He did homer in this game. He is the Orioles starting right fielder and number 6 batter, went 1 for 2 with a solo homer and a walk. O'Neill in the Orioles' 4-run 5th had a leadoff homer to left field to tie the game at 1, and this was some shot. The homer went a projected 430 feet per StatCast. Tyler O'Neill for this regular season now has an OPS of just 584. Yes, a move by Mike Elias that has not worked out for the O's. So was them on December 10th, 2024, announcing having agreed with O'Neill as a free agent on a 3-year contract with a player opt-out after one season. The contract reportedly a 3-year, $49.5 million deal, but with a player opt-out after one season. But the contract marked the richest free agent contract and the first multi-year contract that the O's gave a free agent since Mike Elias took over Orioles baseball operations on November 16th, 2018. O'Neill last season continued his trend of being injured, and he this season just has not been good. But he did homer on Wednesday afternoon. So did Leody Taveras. He is the Orioles starting center fielder and number 7 batter, went 1 for 3 with a solo homer and a walk. He, for this regular season, now has an OPS of 696. No game for the O's on Thursday. Next up for them is a 3-game series at the Cincinnati Reds. The O's have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1 Friday night at 7:10, Trevor Rogers. Game 2 Saturday night at 7:10, Brandon Young. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 1:05, Kyle Bradish. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Friday's show, episode 1361. We'll have much more on the Washington Commanders, as I'll speak with Warren Sharp of SharpFootballAnalysis.com, author of the Sharp Football Analysis 2026 football preview about head coach Dan Quinn, the defense, and the team's 2026 regular season schedule. Also on Friday's show, I'll talk Washington Wizards, as I'll chat with the legendary former television play-by-play announcer of the Wizards, Steve Buckhantz. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
We're not going to be suck this year.